Welcome to the Grow Your Independent Consulting Business podcast. I'm Melissa Lieberman, a fellow IC and business coach. On this podcast, I teach you to become a consistently booked independent consultant without becoming a pushy salesperson or working 24/7. If I can do it, you can too. Listen on to find out how. Welcome to episode 257 of the Grow Your Independent Consulting Business podcast. This is Melissa Lieberman, and today I have a fun episode for you. It's probably on the shorter end, and I can't wait to dive into this with you because you might be saying something in it as a joke or as a sign of humility that is actually eroding the effectiveness in your business. And I want to highlight this for you. So that's what we're here to talk about today. I'll tell you what it is here in a second. You've probably said this before, maybe many times, or at least thought it, but I hear it out loud so often when I'm talking to consultants. And honestly, I say it to myself also, even though I know better. And that is the phrase, I should know better. I should know better because I'm having a problem that I help my clients to solve. I should know better because the issue that I'm having in my business is something that I help my consulting clients to address. That phrase, I should know better, is what we're focusing on for today's episode. Because it can be so common. You may be experiencing this in all different aspects of your business, or maybe just one, but for you to help your clients with the exact issue you're facing in your business is something that happens so frequently for us as consultants. And then it causes us to question, well, wait a second. I do know better. I know how to solve this. I solve it for clients. Why am I dealing with it in my own business? Why am I letting this happen? Right. And so it can feel harmless. It can feel funny. It can feel like just self-deprecating, and it can be, but left unchecked, it can have unintended consequences for you in your business. And that's what I want to help you to avoid in this episode. So we're going to dig into this common thought today that you may be having most likely as a consultant, and that your fellow consultants have, that I have at times, and the impact that it can have on your business. And then the strategy, a two-step strategy to help you move past it. I'm not trying to take away humor. I'm not trying to take away a little bit of fun. Sometimes that is a hard thing to come by in this business, but I do want to help you to walk the line so that it can be funny, but also not impact you. So our agenda for today is, first, we'll start off with a companion resource that I want to share with you that goes along with today's episode. Then we'll talk about how that thought process of I should know better, I do this for my own clients, why am I allowing it to happen in my business? Why that thought process can be useful for you if handled correctly, and the impact if it's not addressed, and then those two steps of what to do about it. And then we'll wrap up the episode to help you put it into action. So the companion resource for today's episode is the Consultant Mindset Audit. If you haven't yet taken that or taken it recently, I highly recommend you go back and take that audit. It is at icmindset.com, which are the two letters for independent consultant, icmindset.com. And it walks you through a series of questions to diagnose and highlight where your mindset is really strong. You want to double down on that, and where it has some areas for opportunity, and ends with a personalized action plan. So go take that as a complement to today's episode. And now let's talk about this phrase, I should know better. Again, you may be saying it as a way to beat yourself up, or even just as a self-deprecating joke. I think for a lot of us, it's more of a self-deprecating joke, or just trying to express some humility. It's very normal. If you've been thinking this or saying it out loud, first, I'll just say this is a very normal phenomenon. Otherwise, I wouldn't be creating an episode on it, of course. But also, I want to highlight for you that this is something that consultants are especially prone to, especially solo consultants, because we can see our problems clearly in other people, right? The problems we may be facing in our own business is so much easier to see them clearly in other organizations outside of ours. But when the patterns show up in our own business, it can feel so personal. And so the thought itself is not the problem. Even the joke itself, right? Oh, I should know better. I do this for my clients. The problem is when it goes unchecked. That's where the problem can occur. And I'll tell you more about that here in a second. But first, I want to start on the positive side, which is having that thought process, I should know better, can be useful for you in your business. So don't dismiss it. I know I say this often. Oh, I should know better. This is how I help my own clients. I have my own coach for that reason. I say those exact words. But taking a step back and pausing at, I should know better. This is how I help my own clients. Why am I not applying this to my own business? Like stopping. And instead of just letting that pass by as a joke, the reason why it can be useful is that it's a signal that there is something in your business that you know how to solve. Sometimes we think our business is unique. And so what we do for our clients doesn't apply. And sometimes we think the organizations that we work with are larger, so it doesn't apply. And so we don't really think about, okay, wait a second. If this were my client, how would I approach it? Another reason we dismiss it is because we think, oh, I am my business, especially as a solo. Maybe you're a boutique, but especially as a solo, so often we confuse that we are our business and we are not. Even though we are the only one running the business and the only one as an employee in the business, you are not your business. Your business is a entity that generates outcomes for your clients, and you happen to be the resource that's delivering those results. There's a nuance there, but it's important. And so when you think I should know better and you make it personal, then you lose an opportunity to take a step back and you leverage that thought or that joke, even, I should know better, and use that as a signal to say, wait a second, I do know better. This is how I solve it for my clients. Let me go apply that to my business rather than writing it off. So that's why this is so important. And here in a moment, I'll tell you some very specific strategies you can leverage to make that happen for yourself. But first, let's talk about the impact when it goes unchecked. So we have this thought, or we say it out loud, I should know better. This is the type of work that I do for my clients. I should apply it to myself. When that goes unchecked and that thought takes over and you don't use it to your advantage, like I was just talking about, it can create 3 different kinds of damage for you in your business. And the first is the emotional overhead. Now, you might be saying to yourself, Melissa, it's just a joke. Why are you even having an episode about this? But it's important. It's important because it is a joke. It is a common way of speaking as a consultant. And even in the most subtle ways, if you've been saying this to yourself, it can create a mental drain. That kind of self criticism eats away at your energy and undermines yourself. Here's how I want to describe this to you in a very confronting way, hopefully. Would you say that to an employee just in a flippant way? You might say it to an employee, you know what? You should know better. You did this for another client. Why are you not approaching it the same way with this client that you're working on? You might say it that way to someone who you is an employee on your team, but you wouldn't say, oh, you should know better. Wouldn't dummy. That's right. Like that's the tone, right? What a dummy. You should know better. You do this for your own clients. It's that subtle difference of how would you be treating an employee who was not noticing a pattern, who was not noticing commonalities. You would help them to see that in a way that was constructive, not in a way that was demeaning. So be careful for yourself about that, eroding your relationship with yourself from an employer to employee. The second kind of damage it can create for you is that it does shut down problem identification. So let's just go down the path of it is a joke. It's not a big deal. Maybe it doesn't feel so undermining to you. But at the end of the day, when you just make a joke and you don't investigate it, you're losing that opportunity. What's actually happening here? You might be jumping to, oh, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? I've done this again. There's nothing wrong with you. It's that you are not taking a step back and looking at What are the themes of what you apply for your clients? How do those apply to your business? Versus thinking your business is unique or you're incapable of applying what you know so well to yourself. Not allowing that joke or that, if you're truly serious about it, I should know better. And it does feel heavier than just being a joke. Don't let it shut down that problem identification. Kind of goes back to the opposite of what we were just talking about a moment ago, how it can be useful for you as a way to look at, oh, wait a second, my business is so much similar to my own clients. How do I apply what I already know to my business? And then thirdly, it can delay action. If you're going off of this joke, lets you off the hook, right? If you're treating it as a joke, oh, I should know better, and that's a joke, it lets you off the hook from really looking at whatever the thing is that you should know better about and investigating it and figuring out how to truly take what you know and apply it to your own business. Or the opposite can be true, or the other way of looking at this can be true too, which is if you are really using that as self criticism, then of course it's difficult to problem solve from the place of you not being a good leader to yourself, right? You wouldn't treat an employee like that. So why are you doing that to yourself? And over time, that can create inconsistency, avoidance, lost motivation when you are saying that sentence, I should know better. I do this for my clients. And then either going down the path of just letting yourself off the hook or really taking it to heart. Either way, it creates a drag on yourself and delays action. And we don't want that. Again, this is very subtle, but I really wanted to highlight this for you here today because it does have an impact, a loss of opportunity that you are not taking advantage of, and that you might even making into a situation where it's slowing you down. So let's talk about these two steps to overcome this. And that is, I'll call it in the category of running your business like an executive, not as a participant, not as an employee. And so the two steps are here. Number one, of course, it starts with mindset. This I should know better sounds like humility, but it does justify slowing down or overthinking or reworking decisions or just ignoring things entirely, writing them off as a joke. But this joke keeps the idea alive that there is something inconsistent about you, that's incapable about you for running your business versus delivering for clients. And the way that our brain works is that it doesn't register it as humor. It registers whatever you're saying as evidence. So that's why it is a subtle impact to your business that you might be writing off as something that's funny that actually is having an impact on your ability to problem solve, your ability to think of yourself as someone who's incredibly competent and capable at doing what you do, both from a client delivery perspective and on running your own business, and doesn't set you up to create that self-identity as a wildly successful business owner. There's certain jokes you just don't want to be making about yourself. And again, I will acknowledge I probably have said this in the last 2 or 3 months. So it's not something that I've completely addressed myself even, but I think it's important to just notice if you're going to make this joke that there could be impacts for you, especially if you haven't addressed those other things that we've just been talking about, like your true belief in yourself that you're successful, you have the ability to succeed, you will be successful as long as you want to be successful in this business, and that you know exactly what you're doing, you know exactly how to run your business, and there's no small little gap or small amount of self-doubt that creates you to question, oh, I know better. Okay, so the second step here, we've addressed the mindset side. This is something I really wanted to share with you on this episode, and that is create a weekly executive meeting with yourself. Set an agenda. Don't allow yourself just to write off, oh, I should know better, or just to run your business through intuition or whatever's popping up in your inbox on a daily basis, setting your priority, or whatever's on your calendar, driving your focus and priority, but instead treating this like a true business, treating this as if you have employees, even if you're your own employee. And that is having an executive meeting with yourself. Notice where you could even put on the agenda asking yourself the question, where am I operating in my own business in a way that is not what I would advise my clients to do? I'll say that again. It's an important question to be asking yourself. Where am I operating my own business? Or in what ways am I operating my own business in a way that violates what I would be telling my own clients to do? You wouldn't be telling your own clients to go off executing something that whatever your clients do in their organizations, you wouldn't be telling them, oh, just go do that without a strategy or go do that without alignment within the organization. There's so many examples of how you're probably running your business in a way that is contrary to what you would advise your clients to do. Investigate that. Use that as an opportunity instead of as a funny joke that you write off. First, we want to implement the mindset. You are a leader of your business. You know what you're doing. You are capable of figuring out how to apply what you do for your clients to your own business and taking yourself out of the equation, not making it personal. And then give yourself some structure, like I've just been describing. Building a weekly executive meeting with yourself, setting an agenda, what's working in our organization, what's not working, what needs a decision, what are the outcomes for the week, in what ways am I operating this business in a way that's contrary to what I would be advising my own clients to how they should be operating. This creates distance for yourself. That way you move from being inside the problem or the problem because you are thinking of yourself and your business as one in the same, and allows you to take a step back and observe it and to have a function or a forcing function in your business that allows you to take a step back, to think and decide, and not from a place of self-criticism or a place of letting yourself off the hook from this humility or self-deprecation, but truly looking at this to say, how does the way that I advise my clients, how can I apply that to my own business and elevate the way that I'm thinking and elevate the way that I'm operating? So those are the simple 2 steps. The thing I'll end with here is it can be really easy, as we were talking about, to see other people's blind spots, other organizations' blind spots, and challenging for us to do it for ourselves. And this is where you want to set up that type of structure or to have some kind of external support for yourself, whether it's a coach like what I do or another coach that you resonate more with. But having that kind of external sounding board, something that I have in my business at all times, sometimes more than one coach, is what can help you to create that external perspective that you might be lacking because you're trying to do this all on your own. So whether you hire a coach like me or hire another coach or even start working with peers to create this type of dynamic, it's really important because it's hard to see our own blind spots clearly. As I wrap up today's episode, I want to highlight again for you that this phrase, I should know better, this problem I'm having is the type of problem I solve for my own clients, is very common. You want to use it as a signal rather than something to brush off, because successful consultants aren't the ones who never struggle with their own business. They're the ones who recognize and solve for these issues, whether they're subtle or blatant. So notice this thought, I should know better, interrupt it, put structure and perspective around your business processes, like the executive meeting that I recommended to you. And that's how you keep this from becoming a problem or a missed opportunity, and instead leverage this particular situation. I should know better. This is the type of problem I help solve for my clients. Turn that into an asset for yourself. All right. As we wrap up today's episode, again, I would invite you to apply for one-on-one coaching. You can go to consultmelissa.com to see if we're a good fit working together. If not, I'll recommend other coaches to you that might be a better fit. But either way, get some help with this. It can be challenging to run this business all on your own. And that's what coaches and advisors are here to help you do, just as you are an advisor and a consultant and maybe even a coach to your own clients. Thank you for tuning in, and I will see you again next week. Take care.
Thanks for joining me this week on the Grow Your Independent Consulting Business podcast. If you liked today's episode, I have 3 quick next steps for you. First, click subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to make sure you don't miss future episodes. Next, leave me a review in your podcast app so other independent consultants can find and benefit too. And finally, to put the ideas from today's episode into action, head over to melissalieberman.com for the show notes and more resources to help you grow your consulting practice from your first few projects into a full-fledged business. See you next week.